Alright everyone, so this is the first video I've made in this style, sort of where I can click and record and all in real time. Kinda cool. I've actually made a couple videos like this. I've deleted all of them for various reasons. I promised myself I'd upload this one. So, obviously, this is my prediction for this year's presidential race, which is going to take place 3 months exactly from today. It's an appropriate day to make this video. So, starting out west, I'm going to talk about Nevada. Nevada, of course, I believe still has the highest unemployment rate in the nation, high morbid population. You'd think it'd be, I guess, Romney territory, more so. Well, I think that's where the Hispanic vote that a lot of analysts like to talk about is going to play a big role. Okay, Obama's going to benefit from that, and Democratic candidates in 2016 and 2020 will benefit from that in states like Arizona and Florida. I don't believe this time around. Going quickly, because there's a lot to talk about, and I don't want to make this video long like the other ones were. Colorado has been trending Democratic. I just don't see that changing. Same with New Mexico. New Mexico's interesting because it did go for Bush in 2004, but a lot of people don't realize this, but Gary Johnson, of course, the former governor of New Mexico, is running as a Libertarian candidate, and his popularity is going to be highest in New Mexico. That's where it's just going to be a matter of splitting the vote. Iowa is interesting. Iowa is very close. I think Karl Rove's going to recognize that. Super PACs are going to recognize that and say, okay, you know what? Iowa is the Obama campaign probably thinks they can get Iowa. Well, he's not polling well there. Let's flood the state with ads. Those 6 electoral votes can make all the difference, and I'll show you why they could make all the difference. Because if you check this out, and this is not an unreasonable map. That's a tied election right there. Should Obama keep a state like Ohio and New Hampshire and lose some of the other battleground states, this is not impossible. It's probably not going to happen, but it's interesting. And it just goes to show you that every state does matter, and both campaigns recognize that. I just see Iowa as more of a territory where conservatives can think they can probably get a victory. Moving up into Wisconsin and Michigan, people talking about those like they're toss-up states. They're not. Michigan is not a toss-up state. Michigan will go for Obama. He will have no problem there. The auto bailout wasn't originally popular, but Michigan recognizes now that they needed those jobs, okay? Michigan's like the poster child for the Obama administration's record on the economy. It's going to go blue. Wisconsin's going to go blue, too. People talk about the governor's, the recall election there like it was some kind of message for November. It wasn't, because the reason people voted for Scott Walker, a lot of Democrats even, was because they felt like he deserved to finish out his term. It wasn't a matter of, okay, we talk about the spending advantage and stuff like that. Really, though, what it came down to was the fact that recalling a governor is it's not unprecedented, but it's not a common thing. People just didn't feel like it was right. Independents didn't get on board with it, okay? That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say. It's a blue state. Exit polls from that election showed that Obama's going to have no problem there. Stop talking about Wisconsin like it's a toss-up state. It's absolutely not. Neither is Pennsylvania, for that matter. Ohio is. My home state's interesting. We've got the senator's race here. Popular Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown. He's going to bring Democratic support. In addition to that, Issue 2, Senate Bill 5, what happened last year, the union-busting measure passed by John Kasich, signed by John Kasich, rather, was very unpopular. We put it up for referendum, got voted down 62-38. And Mitt Romney actually came to the state of Ohio and said he supported it. That's not going to play well, and in fact, I'm surprised I haven't seen more ads exploiting that, because he made a huge mistake in coming here and saying that he supported that. We've also benefited from the auto bailout. A lot of car manufacturers back up and running throughout the state. A lot of union strongholds throughout Ohio. It's just going to be in Obama's favor this year, and polls show that again too. And you might be wondering, would you just go by polls for all of these? Pretty much. I mean, what's kind of, I don't know, I guess this day and age, in 2008, we kind of knew how the election was going to go just from polls. And polls are pretty accurate indicators. But in addition to polls, I look at other factors like I just mentioned, with Issue 2 and stuff like that. Ohio is going to be close, don't get me wrong, but I don't see it going for Romney as of August 6th, 3 months before the election. Virginia is interesting because for some reason, okay, Virginia, a lot of course, wealthy families in Virginia, and the tax code that Obama is trying to propose will not benefit them. Of course, and I can rant about this forever, it's just putting them back at the Clinton levels on ensuring that rich millionaires and billionaires pay the same amount, if not more taxes than middle-class families. It makes perfect and total sense to me, and I don't see how less than 5% increase in your taxes is anything to be outraged about when you can afford everything under the sun. But I digress. Anyway, a lot also in addition to the tax thing, though, like I was saying, a lot of defense jobs are centered in Virginia, and the trigger defense cuts that Democrats in Congress and the president supported could cost people their jobs in Virginia. However, he's still polling well there, and I see him keeping it as they did last time. The campaign has a good ground game going there, and that's another thing I should have mentioned in Ohio. They've had a ground game going here longer than any other state, and it's bigger than in any other state, so uh, no problems for Obama in Ohio. Probably not any in Virginia. Definitely not any in Pennsylvania. Okay, Pennsylvania's another state, you know. Pennsylvania is to, I guess, Republicans as North Carolina is to Democrats. Okay, North Carolina going for Obama in 2008 was a fluke, just like Indiana. Okay, it's not going to happen again unless things really improve in the economy. It's a conservative state, it's a red state, and it's fool's gold for Democrats, just like Pennsylvania is fool's gold for Republicans. New Hampshire's interesting because New Hampshire, you know, presidential candidates can benefit from, I guess, their geographic origins, you know, and I can't really think of a good example recently because Obama's from Illinois, which is a blue state. McCain's from Arizona, which, you know, red state. But Mitt Romney being from or having served as governor of a really blue state, Massachusetts, of course, that he can't flip that, but he could flip New Hampshire. Just, you know, they've known him there for a long time. Maybe they liked him as governor when he was governor of Massachusetts. Whatever. And a couple months ago, I would have said New Hampshire's going red. However, I don't see it happening this time either. It's just going to be all blue up in New England. Moving down to Florida. Florida, of course, Obama in 2008 only won the state by 2%. And as a rule of thumb, if he won a state in 2008, he's got a good chance of losing it this time around. You know, he's not going to pick up any new states. The fact that with all that enthusiasm, he only won by 2%, and the fact that they elected Marco Rubio and Rick Scott without any problems. It's just a red state for now, and the Republicans holding the convention down there. They know they don't stand a chance. Mitt Romney does not stand a chance at this election unless he wins Florida. There's no other route. He has to win the state of Florida. They recognize that. They're going to ensure that happens. And they've already, you know, it's already kind of in their favor. Polls are showing, though, that Obama's up as much as 6 points in Florida. So maybe it could happen. If the economy really turned around, you could see this. I just don't think so. But if I were to change one state, the first state that I would flip from the map I have here would be Iowa going blue. So this is probably my first choice. This is what I think the election will look like. But if I had to have a second opinion, it'd be something like that. Okay. And like I said, if the economy flipped around, maybe. But probably won't see that. Now, if we go into, let's just have some fun. Double dip. Double dip recession. Unemployment's at 10% again. Then we'll see. I guess the worst it could possibly get would be that. Yeah, most likely. Not gonna happen though. So anyway, that's my prediction 3 months out. I'll put up here again. I cannot wait to see how close I am. I cannot wait for election day, okay? And if you're watching this, you're probably just like me. It is our Christmas, is it not? It is so exciting to see not only the presidential election, but every race on down to like sheriff in your county. You know, I love analyzing the data and stuff. So I'm getting ready. I'm getting psyched. We're 3 months out. I'm thinking it's gonna look like this for the presidential race. Thanks for watching. Please make your own. Okay, I like watching these. I don't know if something's wrong with me or what, but I just do. So, or make a response to this one. Tell me, you know, what you think. I'm looking around at the states. There's really nothing else to comment on. There aren't any other states that are going to. Yeah, there's really no other battleground states. Missouri, it's going to be red. It's just like Indiana, you know. It was so close in 2008. It's going to be red this time. Anyway, I got to stop talking. I wanted to make this short. Like I said, thanks for watching.